Hey y'all, we're going to do something a little different today. Welcome to my channel. My name is Penny Larson and I am really excited to have you with me today because today I am going to tell you about the Holy Grail ride cymbal. Well, what the heck is a Holy Grail ride cymbal? A Holy Grail ride cymbal is this idea that there is one perfect ride cymbal sound that you are chasing, that you will forever chase. And most of the people I know who have this yearning in their ear and in their heart and in their soul seem to never find that Holy Grail. It seems like the quest is half the fun, so to speak. If you don't know the story about the Holy Grail, I encourage you to look that up. Suffice it to say, Holy Grail is the thing that will solve all of your problems, the thing that will connect you to God, the thing that will answer all of your prayers, the perfect solving thing. And a lot of times it gets used as a metaphor for something that doesn't exist, the thing we yearn for. And every once in a while, people are lucky enough to find something that they get to consider the Holy Grail. And I think I've done that. But first we need to back up a little and talk about this whole experience. I've been playing TRX cymbals for a little over 6 months, not that long. They're handmade cymbals from Turkey. I had played another brand's Turkish cymbals before. I've done a lot of research about cymbals made in Turkey. I'm very excited to be able to work with a company who is still hand making cymbals in Turkey. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to name names along the way. A lot of times when people will talk about cymbals, especially, or anything, when they're with one company, they won't mention another company. And I'll tell you this, I'm not going to say anything bad about any company because I don't have anything bad to say about any company, and it's not that at all. And this is all only my opinion and my experience. And the most important thing that I'm going to say over and over again is my Holy Grail ride cymbal might not be yours, right? Just because I found what is to me the perfect ride cymbal doesn't mean it's going to be the perfect ride cymbal for you. Okay, so with that kind of preamble out of the way, how did I get here? I've mentioned a lot that I grew up in drum and bugle corps. And after I got out of drum and bugle corps and I started playing drum set, I remember very vividly thinking, cymbals are just things that go crash. They're loud, whatever. You know, I was young and played loud. My first band out of drum and bugle corps was progressive metal, art rock kind of band, and my guitar player and I used to have battles to see pretty much to see who could play louder, and I broke a lot of cymbals, and I didn't really have the technique or the ear or the wallet to care about how cymbals sound. So I was just kind of going through cymbals. The first time I really became aware of cymbals as maybe something special was in my mid-20s, so 30-ish years ago, maybe not quite, my early 20s maybe. I, at the drum shop where I was taking lessons and where I had been going for 10 years, I found an 18-inch Zildjian K flat ride. And you could play rudiments on this ride cymbal. If you don't know what a flat ride is, we're going to talk a little bit more about it later, but a flat ride is a cymbal literally without a bell, right? And this was an 18, so small, but you could literally play, you know, radamucues and flam drags and whatever on this ride cymbal, and it sounded clear. And when you crashed on it, it kind of splashed and splattered. It didn't really open up. And I was captivated. And so till today, flat rides are something that I value incredibly highly. Shortly after that time, I went to Berkeley, and I started Berkeley when I was 24. So definitely I had discovered cymbals as like a special thing before that time. So let's say in my early 20s, I discovered ride cymbals as being something to prize. During my time at Berkeley, of course, lots of people have talked about Tony Williams' ride cymbal. And this is the first one I'm going to show you a video clip of. Tony Williams' ride cymbal. I'm going to show you a live clip just to try and assuage the copyright overlords of YouTube. But especially on the Miles Davis album Nefertiti, so much so that Tony's cymbal on that track is called the Nefertiti Ride by a lot of people. That was the first time I became aware of this concept of a ride cymbal sound that people would search for, that people would look for. Oh, I want a ride that sounds like that ride. I've heard the ride I want, and it's that one, and I'm going to go hunt for it. And so I still didn't really have an ear for something that I wanted specifically. I was developing, you know, tastes about cymbals, but nothing so specific. So let's check out Tony's ride from a live recording. Okay, so beyond that, I really wasn't too interested in ride cymbals. You know, like I say, I had a 21-inch A Zildjian rock ride that I got at a Zildjian day at my drum shop. I think when I was like 19 or 20, Greg Bissonette was there. He was a sweetheart. And Myron Grombacher. And I got this ride and a pair of hi-hats, and that ride was fine. You know, it wasn't, I didn't fall in love with that ride. It was fine. It was loud, and I wanted loud, and so there you go. And I played that ride on and off for almost 20 years, probably. But then something happened around the year 1998 or so. I am an incredible Rod Morgenstein fangirl, and I love the band, his first band, the Dixie Dregs. I am also a completist when it comes to trying to find a band's or a drummer's, you know, all their recorded output. The Dixie Dregs only, in their first run, only released 6 studio records, and then they recorded one more, and there's a couple, well, I guess there's one live record and then a couple live DVDs. But the Dixie Dregs don't really have a ton of recorded output. And so finding bootlegs was a really great way to expand my library. Back in the day, finding bootlegs was trickier than it is now with the internet, but I managed to get my hands on a CD called the Dixie Dregs Live in New York 1981, or Live in New York 81, something like that. I'll put a picture on the screen so you can see it. And there's a breakdown they do this tune Cruise Control, and it's kind of their big solo thing. And Rod does his drum solo, and then there's a jam between Steve and Rod, Steve Morse, the guitar player. And in this particular bootleg, they build up and they take it down, and they build up and they take it down. And one of the times where they build up and then they take it back down, Steve basically cuts out, and Rod goes like ham on his ride cymbal, like up-tempo swing kind of rhythms. And the first time I heard that, it completely blew my mind and changed my life. And ever since then, I have been looking for that Holy Grail sound. This is the only thing I'm going to play for you that I don't have video of. But since this is the ride, let's take a listen to that real quick. Okay, hear that click of the cymbal on the top end? That's the sound that really drove me nuts. It was so reminiscent of the flat rides that I was in love with at the time that my mind was blown, because it was clear to me that it was a regular cymbal. There's a Peisty book of, drummers' cymbal setups from the time, from around that time, a few years later. And one of the things it lists as being in Rod's setup is a 16-inch flat ride. But it seems like that was something he used more like in the studio. The ride he was using on this recording, I would later find out, was a 22-inch Peisty Sound Creation bell ride. And not to get too deep in the weeds of cymbal manufacture, because I could. This video is already going to be much too long. But most Peisties are made from a different alloy than the Turkish style cymbals. And by Turkish style, I mean all of the cymbals made in Istanbul still, right? But then also Zildjian and Sabian, right? Swiss style, which is Peisty, they tend to use an alloy that has more copper than the Turkish style. The Sound Creation line, however, uses almost the same alloy. Of course, there's trade secret alloys, but it's basically 80% copper and 20% tin. And so it was a Peisty cymbal, but also it had some things in common with that Turkish style. Also, Rod was using at the time the Vic Firth Bolero sticks, which is a large maple stick with a very tiny wood tip. And all of those things combined to get that click. Okay, so here I am, I'm in love. This is probably around 1998, like I say. Around that same time, Rod started playing with Jordan Rudess. They formed the Rudess Morgenstein project. That album came out in '97. They performed live at the Modern Drummer Festival in 1998, being Rod Morgenstein and then, of course, Rudess Morgenstein fangirl. I, of course, got my hands on the videotape of that. And there's a song called Night Wind, and Rod, it's a 6/8 tune, really beautiful. There's an ostinato section, totally love it. But Rod's ride cymbal, now at this point he had moved to Sabian, is a 21-inch Sabian AA dry ride. The Sabian AA is similar to the Zildjian Avitas, right? It's their regular, straight up, machine hammered, regular hammered kind of cymbal. With the dry ride has a small bell and a flat profile. And by this point, Rod Morgenstein was using his signature model stick, which is a hickory stick, a little bit between a 5B and a 2B with a acorn style tip. Did I mention I'm really very nerdy about this subject? Okay, so the video of the Modern Drummer Festival, Rod's ride cymbal sound on that video, I love too. It's got that same kind of click. And so then that really opened the possibilities for me to think about, well, it's not that it's just a Paiste, it's not that it's just the Bolero sticks, it's not that it's just a Sabian, it's not that it's just the Rod Morgenstein signature sticks. Certainly there's something to it being Rod's style. But let's take a quick listen to that Modern Drummer Festival video so we can hear that click. Okay, so I think by now you probably have an idea of the sound I'm going for. There are some other things that happened along the way that I do want to mention and I do want to talk about and show. Another bootleg that I have from back in the mid-'80s when Rod was still with Paiste is he performed with the Steve Morse Band, and they did a show in Germany that there's a bootleg available on YouTube. And they did that same sort of drum solo and then guitar and drum jam. And the audio quality in this one isn't quite as good, but you can still hear the click of his ride cymbal. And let's check that one out. And then the last one we'll listen to from Rod is a 1992 Dixie Dregs bootleg. Same thing, right? At this point, Rod had switched to Sabian, so this is, again, the Sabian Dry Ride. This is the jam, guitar, and drum jam after the drum solo in Cruise Control. Let's check that out. Okay, so there were also a couple other things going on in my mind. And one is something I want is a really dry response for my cymbal. Rod in the Dixie Dregs had his ride cymbal almost vertical. That was kind of fashionable at the time. Just to prove that I'm not making that up, let's check out Alphonse Mouzon with the McCoy Tyner Quartet back in the 70s, playing basically a vertical ride cymbal. Let's listen to a little of that. right? So that was pretty normal. And hanging the ride cymbal vertical like that, or more vertical, puts more, so if you think about it, right, the mounting screw of the cymbal, the hole rests on the screw, and so when it's like this, it's balanced evenly, and so the sound waves can travel evenly around the cymbal. Whereas when it's hung more vertically, there's more downward force this way, and so the sound waves can't travel from the center to the edge and back and forth as evenly, and it just shortens up the sustain. I like that. So I had that going on. There were also, around that time, I was really into Greg Bissonette and Dave Weckl, and Greg a lot of the times for like the David Lee Roth gig was using, you know, the original Z series, like light rides for his like live ride. But he, on his instructional video, played a K Custom, the original K Custom, and Dave Weckl, I mean, of course, the K Custom was designed basically for him. So that, the K Custom is unlathed, brilliant cymbal, right, that's kind of double hammered, and with a big bell. And that had a dry stick sound, although rarely did I hear one that had like a nice clicky stick sound. It had a lot of what I wanted in that dryness, but not so much in the pretty stick sound. I was also still, and let's check that out real quick. Here's Greg from his private lesson instructional video. I was also still thinking about that flat ride, and I was thinking maybe I could put a flat ride into my kit. Antonio Sanchez with the Pat Metheny group had two custom Zildjian 22-inch A custom flat rides, and those were, I mean, they're all click. Let's check those out real quick. Right? And so I still had this flat ride kind of in my ear, although most of the music that I play tends to be loud electronic music or electric music, and flat rides just get lost in that. As much as I love the tone, if especially if they're not specially mic'd, they just disappear, right? And eventually I let that go and decided I just had to figure out how to live with one ride cymbal. By this point, it was, I don't know, this all happened between, say, 98 and 2003. Okay, so now we're up to 2003. I've decided every once in a while I would still throw a flat ride in my kit, but for the most part, I had decided really what I needed to do was just come to grips with one ride. Something that I was able to do a couple times was find 22-inch Paiste bell rides. I was able to find the cymbal that Rod had played with the Dixie Dregs. But a funny thing happened was that I didn't like playing them for the most part. I can't really describe why. I know that when I played them, I just felt they felt cold to me. I didn't feel like I could dig in and make music with them. It's very esoteric, and I apologize for not being able to put it into concrete words. I also tried the Sabian AA dry ride. I had several of those over the years, and even when I would find ones that had that click, kind of the same thing. For me, for that one, I can say a little bit more clearly. Just to my ear, they felt a little like One Trick Pony ish, and the bell, especially because it was that smaller bell to control the overtones, it really had a weird sound to my ear. I think that was a similar thing with the Peisty Bell Ride. It just didn't feel like it was giving me enough sounds. So even it kind of did sound like that sound. It wasn't fun for me to play, and so who cares, right? I mean, it wasn't it, which was. I remember the first time I got one and I played it and I was like crushed. And then, you know, years later, just a few years ago, I found another one and I tried it again and I was like, all right, let's do this thing. And still, no, nothing, right? It just didn't work for me. So, so in the 20 years since then, not quite 20 years, so from 2003 to now, if you've followed me at all, you've seen me go through, you know, I played Zildjian and I played Istanbul Agop. That was the other Turkish maker that I played. And Sabian and Stag Cymbals, which is a Chinese manufacturer. And then Sabian again, and then Zildjian again, and a couple other dabbles with some other small brands. And the thing that got me excited about working with TRX was they were willing to deal with my they were willing to help me find the cymbal I was really looking for. I had an initial order with them, and then I had an initial big order with them, and I got several rides, and then we did one custom ride, and that super custom ride is kind of hilarious, and it's neat in a lot of ways, and in a lot of ways it ticks a lot of the boxes, but it's very not it, right? But I felt like I learned so much from that led me to what became the Holy Grail ride. And ironically, what I asked TRX to do basically was kind of create something similar to that, to the Peisty Bell Ride that Rod had played, but in the Turkish style, right? So it's a MDM or medium ride. It's 21-inch. I pretty much played 21-inch rides since I got that 21-inch rock ride 30-ish years ago. With the big bell, the small bell is seductive, right? Because the small bell keeps the cymbal under control, right? It keeps it from washing out, kinda. But it also, because it sounds more integrated, it doesn't have like enough high-end kind of ping or ting or bell sound to it that I really want. So I decided to go with the big bell size. It's a medium or medium heavyweight. I forget the weight off the top of my head. It's a little over 3,100 grams, which over the years seems to be my sweet spot. I'm going to take you through all of the cymbals in a second, and I'll tell you exactly the weight. And then it's a flatter profile, and not crazy flat. It's not like a flat ride, but a slightly shallower bow. And that's pretty much it. I sent them a video of a Pisces Sound Creation bell ride, gave some descriptions, but basically it's kind of the most normal cymbal I've ever tried to do this with. So let me take you through all the cymbals, and then I'll play them all for you, and then I'll give you some closing thoughts. Okay, so this is the ICE series flat ride that I custom ordered. It's 22 inches. It weighs 2,378 grams. You can see it has a bit of flex to it. There we go. Let's do it this way. See, there's a bit of flex, but it's not paper thin by any stretch. And what I was going for with this was a very crystally stick sound, that top end shimmer of the click was my goal with this sound, with this cymbal. And I think TRX really knocked it out of the park for me on this one. This is the TRX New Dark series, NDK, and this one only weighs, it's 22 inches like the other flat ride, and it only weighs 2,118 grams, and this one has considerably more flex to it, you can see. That's scary. I had a nightmare one time that I had a flat ride that like kind of turned into almost liquid. It like lost its metallic stiffness, right? So this is it's a raw cymbal and then finished with an acid etching or sandblasting kind of finish. I'm a little gray on what exactly the process is, but you get this nice kind of sandy colored patina on that raw cymbal. With this one, the goal was still that click sound. Again, I'm obsessed with that top end click of a cymbal sound. But with this one, I wanted it to be just more raw and earthy sounding and have less of that shimmer. So the click is there, but then there isn't the glassy shimmer to go along with it. It just sort of is very dry. This is the TRX NRG series. It's 21 inches. It weighs 3,410 grams. This is one of the heavier rides I have. You can see there's no real flex there. This is the first ride I got from TRX, and I like this ride a lot. You can see it has the regular kind of profile, a regular size bell. It's not an oversized bell. And then a semi-flat profile, but I'd call that like a middle of the road profile. And I like this cymbal a lot. It has a nice stick sound. It has a little bit more pitch than I want. And so I like it, but most of the time this will be a second ride. This will be for bigger rooms where I need a little bit more projection. This is the TRX Bright Series Ride, 21 inch. It weighs 3,063 grams. This, again, has that normal ride profile. A regular size bell. This one seems a little bit steeper than middle of the road, but still not crazy steep on the profile. This was one of the first rides I got from TRX. This has been one of my one of the designs that I was hoping would be kind of that, would hit that holy grail mark, is a normal size bell on a raw, brilliant finish cymbal, hand hammered. And I love this ride. This has a little bit more wash than that perfect spot. And so this one actually is really nice for, it's funny because it's a medium to medium heavyweight cymbal for its size. But this is the type of sound that I like for lighter stuff. Still really articulate because it's got that little bit extra weight, but then a little bit more contained because it's got the regular size bell. This is the TRX ICE Ride, 21-inch. It weighs 3,199 grams. This has that brilliant finish that's a result of the diamond lathing. It's my understanding that the finish comes totally from the lathing and isn't a after lathing buffed process like other brilliant cymbals. This again has that regular size bell and the slightly steep profile. It's pretty, all of them are pretty normal profile. None of them are like lampshade cymbals or anything. And by that I just mean none of them come really down sharp, right? This is the brightest of the rides, even though it's not the heaviest. I think it's a result of this lathing. It has a very crystally top end, almost one might say shrill. One might. And I like this one a lot. This one has a little bit more spread than I was hoping for. But the actual stick sound is really very sweet. This is the TRX Blends series. The outside is finished like a medium cymbal or an MDM cymbal, and then the inner portion is finished like a bright or a BRT model cymbal. And this is a really nice mix of giving you two different surfaces to play on. It weighs, what did I say, 3,274 grams. So no real flex at all. You can see the taper. The bell is that normal size bell, and then the taper is pretty normal. And this is an incredibly versatile cymbal. I really like the different stick sounds. Some cymbals like this, when you switch from one surface to the other, you don't get much of a difference in the stick sound. With this one, you really do. Again, the smaller bell helps to control the wash of the cymbal a bit. This was very close to making me feel like, oh yes, I got it. The stick sound isn't quite that click that, it's a very pretty stick sound, but it's not quite that click. And the bell is nice, but this was one of the two cymbals that started me thinking what I really needed was the big bell model from the TRX line. For so long I had been convinced by several cymbals that the smaller bell would control some of the overtones and that was going to give me the stick definition that I wanted. This cymbal started to convince me that maybe that wasn't the right path to go down. This is the TRX 21-inch ALT series ride with the regular size bell and the regular profile. It weighs 3,437 grams. Out of my initial big batch of TRX cymbals, this is the one that came the closest to that sweet spot for me. It has a really nice stick sound. It doesn't spread too much, and the bell is pretty nice. Though this cymbal was really the one that started to put the idea in my head that maybe I did want to see if I could figure something out with a bigger bell, because this bell is nice but doesn't have, there's a high pitch in a bigger bell, that separated bell sound that you'll hear, that you just can't get in that flatter bell. And I was missing that, especially in this cymbal. As nice as this cymbal was, it still wasn't perfect. Sometimes it's more frustrating to be almost perfect than perfect. And this is the TRX Big Bell Bright Ride. So again, it's unlathed, top and bottom. It weighs 3,333 grams. And you can see that big bell sticking up there. See how that's different than all the others. It comes out a little farther and it stands much prouder off the cymbal, right? And then the bow of the cymbal is just about, I mean, there's less of it because the bell is bigger, but it's just about the same profile as the others. This was one of the cymbals that was in my initial TRX order, and the more I played it, this was the cymbal that convinced me that maybe I was gonna find the sweet spot in a big bell model, because I fell in love with this bell, and the cymbal has a little bit more wash. For a while I was putting a couple pieces of tape on the bottom. The cymbal has a little bit more wash than I was hoping for, and then the stick sound is nice, but it's not really that click, right? So this was a big piece of the puzzle, although not the final piece. This is my first custom try, fully custom. The flat rides were custom models, but those are pretty straightforward. Hey, make me a flat ride this size, this line. This cymbal I spent, oh God, probably a month emailing with Dave at TRX, who was patient beyond all measure in my throwing design concepts at him and him throwing design concepts back at me. And we're doing this in the pandemic, right? So it's not like, you know, I could fly to him in California, or I could fly to Turkey and deal with the factory. I'm just emailing him crazy ideas, and he's emailing me ideas. And there were definitely a couple points where I thought, oh, I have really frustrated this man. But we finally settled on this model, and this is kind of the a lot of good ideas come together that almost do it. So let's talk about what's going on with this cymbal. It's 3,496 grams heavy. So it's the heaviest cymbal I have. And the thing that causes is this cymbal, more than any of the others, really has a discernible pitch. As you play it, it sort of builds up a kind of sound, and that just hurts my soul, right? That very much was going to make this cymbal not the winner, right? So what have we got going on? We've got that acid wash, sandblasted finish on most of the top, and then here we've got the alt style hammering, was just the normal style lathing, sorry, with some extra hammering going on. It's a normal profile with that regular size bell, because at this point I was still thinking, well, I want the small bell to control the overtones. And then on the other underside, this is the only one that has a different underside, so this is the only one that I'll show you the underside. We did the bright, brilliant finish. And this cymbal, I think when I play really big spaces, is going to be invaluable because it's loud. And this lathe part really does have a very sweet stick sound. But it's definitely, it was a close but no cigar kind of thing. And so I got it. And the beautiful thing about this cymbal, that it's going to sound stupid because I'm going to anthropomorphize this cymbal, but I'm going to be forever grateful to this cymbal, because this cymbal taught me so much about what was working in my crazy ideas and what was too crazy and what wasn't working. Okay, and so this is it. This is the Holy Grail ride cymbal. This is a TRX 21-inch MDM or medium ride. There's a couple things that I special requested about this ride. First is the shape. I went with that big bell. Okay, so this is unusual for the medium series. This usually is only available on the Alt and the Bright series. And then I asked for the profile to be as flat as they could make it. And if you notice, this profile from the edge of the bell to the edge of the cymbal is definitely flatter than that bright big bell that we looked at earlier. And then I asked for like a medium heavy weight. So this weighs 3,139 grams. Over the years, I've found right around 3,100 grams really seems to be the sweet spot for me for a 21-inch ride cymbal. And then that was it. I sent a picture of, or I guess a video of the cymbal type that, you know, we were kind of using as a prototype, for lack of a better word. And they sent me this. And this was the funniest cymbal ever, because when I first played it, I thought, huh. It's the most bizarre reaction to a cymbal I've ever had. You know, over the years, lots of cymbals I've hated right off the bat, and there have been lots of cymbals that I've thought, oh yeah, I like this is good, this is it. This one I was more bemused by at first. I almost didn't know what to make of it. I kept hitting it, and I kept really liking hitting it. And I was so surprised that this was the one, because this is so simple. It's basically just a regular cymbal with like a couple tweaks, right? I mean, it's, in some ways you could say it's almost like a TRX like rock ride kind of in their medium series, right? So I was just surprised, right, that I was so much digging this cymbal. But over the next few days and couple weeks, the more I played it, the more I listened to it, the more I listened to other cymbals back to it, I just became more and more convinced that this is my favorite cymbal I have ever owned. And I almost want to cry. I never thought I would say that. I got very used to the hunt, and now that I've found this cymbal, I almost don't know what to do. It's very strange. So most of those cymbals I think sound really great. It's a nice problem to have in some ways, because none of the cymbals that I have from TRX do I think, oh, this sounds bad. But when you have like one perfect sound in mind, a good sound isn't going to be good enough when you're, cymbal crazy, right? There used to be a website called Cymbalholics, and yeah. Holic is a good suffix to add on to cymbal, because if you really get that crazy cymbal urge, it becomes crazy. The funny thing is, playing the Holy Grail ride, when I just hit it, it almost doesn't sound special to me. It's when playing it that it really comes to life. When I first got it and I hit it, I was more intrigued and bemused and captivated than I was like, yes, this is it. But as soon as I put it on the stand and I start playing it, I don't want to stop, right? And when I listen back to recordings of it, I just think, yeah, right? I like this ride more than that bootleg I have of Rod Morgenstein. Rod Morgenstein's ride is no longer my Holy Grail ride. This one is. And that's kind of the coolest feeling in the world. So, this is mostly about my hunt for my perfect ride cymbal. I definitely don't mean to make this one big giant TRX commercial. But I am going to say, I think TRX was really incredible about working with me to get me this cymbal. And I can't say enough good things about the company, and being able to play cymbals that are handmade, in Istanbul is just cool, right? As someone who really appreciates the hand craftsmanship of these instruments, I just think that's neat. So yeah, it's maybe not just a TRX commercial, but I want to give TRX, Dave Levine at TRX, and everybody at TRX a huge shout out. The cymbal smiths in Turkey, heck yeah. So I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you for coming with me on this journey, this exploration into cymbals and me finding my perfect cymbal. If you have a cymbal that you hear in your ear, in your head, that you think, oh, I want that sound and I'm never going to get that sound, there's two things that I would tell you. One, keep looking. You will find what you're looking for. If I did, anybody can. And the second is, keep an open mind, because I never would have expected the cymbal that ended up being my Holy Grail cymbal would be. That cymbal, still, when I just tap it once, compared to the other ones, if I had like 2 minutes to pick out a cymbal and all those cymbals were lined up, I might pick the blends. I might pick the alt. I might not pick the medium. But then when I play it is the perfect compromise. Like, everything is a compromise, right? It is the perfect compromise to get, to me, the prettiest sound. The stick sound is gorgeous. The spread of the cymbal is gorgeous and controlled. The bell is like, loud and bright, but not remotely obnoxious. It is the perfect ride cymbal. It's amazing to me. And, remember, just because it's the perfect ride cymbal to me, you might think it sounds like, not good. It's funny when your brain goes for like one of those words and you're like, oh, no, keep it PG. Yes, you might think it sounds terrible. You might think one of the other ones sounds good. You might think all of these rides sound gross. Cool, right? There isn't one best ride cymbal. Well, there is for me, and that's it. So So thanks again for watching. This has been a little bit different. I am gonna do some cymbal videos with just kind of sound demonstrations of some of the TRX cymbals that I have, but we probably won't do anything exactly like this again. So thanks for watching. Please hit the like button. If you hated the video, I'll understand if you give it a thumbs down. Please subscribe to the channel. Please check out my Patreon if you want some extra stuff. And please hit the notification bell icon to get notified when I go live. And thanks again. I will see you guys all again real soon. Love you. Bye.